All right, so for our day 3 for 5-4, we're going to factor and solve polynomial equations. So let's just kind of review what we've been doing last few days. So again, we're going to look for GCF first. So these guys have 6 in them, and then they both have b squared. So we're going to divide this guy by 6b squared, divide the second one by 6b squared. 30 divided by 6 is 5. B cubed divided by b squared is b, minus 54 divided by 6 is 9. B squared divided by b squared is just 1. And then again, make sure you check to see if what's in the binomial will factor. Luckily it doesn't, so this is our answer. And you can check your answer by distributing and seeing if you get back to the problem. So let's go ahead and look at this one. So again, step 1, GCF. So notice everybody has a c, so we'll factor a c out. So it'll leave me with c squared plus 9c plus 18. And then I do have to make sure what's left in the parentheses, check to see if it'll factor. So what two numbers multiply to make 18 and add to make 9? So that would be 3 and 6. So I have c, and I have c and 3, c and 6. Both signs are positive. So now it's completely factored. All right, and again, at any time, if you just want to stop the video and just practice and see if you get the right answer, feel free to do so. So we'll go ahead and do this one. I'm going to factor out the z. So divide by z, divide by z, divide by z. So give me z squared minus 6z minus 72. What two numbers multiply to make negative 72 and subtract to make 6? So that would be negative 12 and positive 6. So I would have z, and then I would have z minus 12 times z plus 6. And sometimes I put lines through the z's so they don't look like 2's. All right, and then this guy. So this is like what we did Friday. This is that factor by grouping. So anytime you have 4 terms, you want to factor by grouping. So I look at the first two and see what they have in common. They both have a c squared. So divide this guy by c squared, divide this guy by c squared. 7a plus b minus, I always factor out the negative, and then they both have a d squared. So divide by d squared, divide by d squared, and actually I'm dividing by a negative d squared. So this would be positive 7a. This would be positive b. So make sure these match. That's what you write down first. And then write down what's left in parentheses, or sorry, what's outside the parentheses, c squared minus d squared. We have to check one more time. 7a plus b, that does not factor. However, this guy is the difference of 2 squares. So luckily, yay for us, he does factor. So we have 7a plus b, square root of the first, square root of the second. One gets a plus, one gets a minus. All right. So do a couple more, and again, if you want to just practice and see if you're doing them right, and then turn the video back on and see if you did them right, that's a great way to review. So I'm going to look at these two. I'm thinking 4 probably is the biggest number that goes into them. Let's start with 4. And then x squared. So divide by 4x squared, divide by 4x squared. So that would be 8x cubed minus 108, so it goes in there twice, 27. Right? So then check to see if this will factor. So that's the difference of 2 cubes. So I have 4x squared, small parentheses, big parentheses, cubed root of the first, cubed root of the second, square the 2x, multiply the 2x and 3, square the 3, right? Square, and then multiply, and then square. When the signs are the same, opposite, always positive. Right. And then this next one, doesn't look like they have a GCF. So we get to slide and multiply. Gives us 90, negative 90. What two numbers multiply to make 90 and subtract to make 13? So 90, that would be 1 and 90 2 and 45, 3 and 30, 4, 5, what is that, 18? So those guys are our winners. So we're going to have 5 and 18. So that means the 18 has to be negative. 13's negative, so the 18's negative. So we're going to have x plus 2, sorry. Cat's tail's in the way here. Geez, oh. All right, let me try to write the right number down there. X plus 5, x minus 18. And then remember you divide and reduce. So this will still be x plus 5 halves times x minus 9. Bottoms up. So it'll be 2x plus 5 times x minus 9. All right? So that was a good one. That reviewed a lot of stuff that we did in chapter 4. All right, so go ahead. Let's see if you got these. Stop the video, practice it, and then restart the video and make sure you did it right. If you didn't do it right, it's no big deal. Just come in and get some help. All right, so I'm going to factor out a negative 4b, divide by negative 4b, divide by negative 4b. So b cubed plus 4 goes into there once, twice, 125. Yeah, and then b's cancel. So difference or sum of 2 cubes. So negative 4b, binomial, trinomial, cubed root of the first, cubed root of the second, square, multiply, square, same sign, opposite, always positive. All right, and then this one. So these guys have z to the 4th in common, z minus 3. These have a negative 16 in common, z minus 3. Z minus 3. And you might have stopped here on this one. Check and see. That's the difference of 2 squares. There's actually one on the test like this. And then, if you look at this, there's actually one more time. This is actually the difference of 2 squares again. So we're going to have the z minus 3. And then the z squared minus 4 factors to z minus 2. Z plus 2, and then this guy doesn't factor because he's a sum. So that's a good one. There's one on the test like that where it factors twice. So please come in and ask questions, or ask me a question at the beginning of class if you don't understand that one. All right, so now that was enough of the review. Let's go ahead and start with the new stuff. We're going to look at solving polynomial equations. Basically, we're doing what we did just a second ago, and then setting everything equal to 0 to solve for x. All right, so we'll take this problem, make sure it's set equal to 0, so this guy's good. So the answer is yes. Does it have a GCF? 4 goes into all of those, and x squared goes into all of those. So then we're going to factor it. So 4x squared, take out the GCF, and that's just going to be x squared minus 10x plus 9 equals 0, right? So now we need to factor the trinomial. So what two numbers multiply to make 9 and add to make negative 10? So negative 1 and negative 9. So we'll have 4x squared, x minus 9, x minus 1 equals 0. All right, so now we're going to solve for x. So in order to solve for x, we're going to set 1, 2, 3, all of these set equal to 0. So I'm going to take the first one, set it equal to 0. I'm going to take the second one, set it equal to 0. Take the third one, set it equal to 0. So that's called the zero product property. And then just solve them all for 0. So, or solve them all for x. Divide by 4, x squared equals 0. Take the square root. Technically it'd be plus or minus 0, but 0 doesn't have a sign, so it's just 0. And then add 9. And then add 1. So really what you do is whenever you have an outside number, it's 0. Whenever they're inside, it's always the opposite. So outside 0, inside opposite, right? And another hint is whatever this degree is equal to the number of solutions. This 0 actually stands for 2 because it was squared, because technically there's plus or minus 0, but again, 0 doesn't have a sign. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 solutions. Kind of cool that always works. All right, so let's try this one. Step 1, is it set equal to 0? The answer is no. So in order to set it equal to 0, I need to minus 14x cubed from both sides. So write them in order. So 2x to the 5th goes first, minus 14x cubed goes second, and then 24x goes third. So they go in the order of the exponents. Does it have a GCF? 2 goes into all of them. So does x. So if I factor it, we're going to have 2x. And you actually have to divide on this side over here too, but 0 divided by anything is always 0. So this will be x cubed. Oops, sorry. Try that again. X to the 4th minus 7x squared plus 12 equals 0. So what two numbers multiply to make 12 and add to make 7? Negative 7, so that'd be negative 3 and negative 4. So we'll have 2x, and we'll have x squared minus 3, x squared minus 4. So is it done? No, because this is the difference of two squares, so we have to go one more time. So 2x, x squared minus 3, x minus 2, x plus 2 equals 0. So now we're ready to solve. So in order to solve, we take all those, 1, 2, 3, 4, and set them all equal to 0. So 2x equals 0, x squared minus 3 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0. Solve all 4 of those equations for 0. So divide by 2, x equals 0. Add 3, x squared equals 3. Take the square root. X is equal to plus or minus square root 3. Plus 2, x equals 2. Minus 2, x equals negative 2. So our answers are 0, plus or minus the square root of 3, and then we have a positive and a negative 2, so you can kind of shorthand that like this. And then they get the little squiggles. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look at this, 5. Yay us. Okay, so let's look at this one. So we're going to add 6x to the 4th to both sides. So I'm going to have 6x to the 4th minus 27x to the 3rd plus 15x squared equals 0. Then, the same question we keep asking ourselves, does it have GCF? The answer is yes, 3x squared. Now we're going to factor it. 3x squared, parentheses, divide by 3x squared, divide by 3x squared, divide by 3x squared, divide by 3x squared. All right, so we get 2x squared minus 9x plus 5 equals 0. All right, so now trinomial inside. So we're going to slide and multiply. What two numbers multiply to make 10 and add to make negative 9? So they have to add to make negative 9, which means the signs have to be the same. So 1 and 10 make 11. 2 and 5 make 7. So unfortunately, it will not factor. So what does that mean? So that means that we need to take this guy, set him equal to 0, and solve. So outside's always equals 0. X squared equals 0, take square root. So now that's one of our solutions. And then with this guy, we unfortunately have to do the quadratic formula. Alright, so quadratic formula, opposite of b, plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, so positive 9 plus or minus square root 81 minus 4 times 2 times 5 all over 2 times 2. 9 plus or minus 10, 41 all over 4. So that won't simplify, so our answers are this, and then the 0. So there's technically 2 answers there because of the squared, and then 2 answers here. So altogether that makes 4. Alright, now you have enough information to do your assignment. Yay!